I have had this book with me for quite some time. I think I purchased this book back in 2015 or 2016. Okay, and then it has been a while. So when Dr. Amira contacted me to share, to have this session, and then I was like digging what the most suitable book for me to share for this session, and suddenly it reminded me to this book. One of because I think I quite in a way like the book most, okay, the way it is written, okay, and the content of the book. And then one of the things that at first really attract me to purchase this book when I look at the title, the Green Deen. So I was like, oh, what is Green Deen? Okay, so it's quite interesting. And inshallah, I'll be sharing my thought on this book within this 30 to 40 minutes as the time allowed to me. So I'll be sharing the slides now. So you getting my slides?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the topic of the book, okay, Green Deen, what Islam teaches about protecting the planet. And then the author, as I said just now, is brother Ibrahim Abdul-Matin. Okay, he's a black American Muslim. Okay, and then he is raised as a Muslim. Actually, his family converted to Islam. Okay, so he's born in the Muslim family. Okay, first of all, let's have a look at what the book is all about. The title, as I mentioned just now, and then the author, Ibrahim Abdul-Matin. The publisher is a Barak Kohler publisher, okay, in the California, if I'm not mistaken. And then the number of pages for this book is 232 pages. That includes everything, the reference, and then some attachment that he has. And then the book, the one that I have with me is the first edition, okay, which was printed back in 2010. Okay, and I think they have the latest edition. I think the third edition now, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so and then that's basically the look of the book. Okay, I snap over here the front page, the front cover page, as well as the back end cover. Okay, in fact, the price is still there. So after I attach the picture, I noticed. Okay, so there is I purchased at Kinokuniya. Okay, the price is 70 ringgit 55 cent. Okay, so I'm not so sure what is the latest price for the book if you want to have it after this. Okay, so this is the author. Okay, Ibrahim Abdul-Matin. Currently, he is the policy advisor, okay, for the New York Mayor Office, focusing on the long-term planning and sustainability. And just a minute. Okay, so he was born in 1977 in Brooklyn, USA, and raised, as I mentioned just now, as a Muslim. And looking at his academic background, he has a bachelor in political science from University of Rhode Island back in 1999, and master in public admin from Baruch College, Central University of New York. And then he actually has a chance to study Arabic at the Zaytuna College, New York, one of the, I think, a premier college focusing on the Islamic studies over there. Okay, and then due to his interest in environmental issue, he established BASE, okay, stand for Brooklyn Academy of Science and the Environment, okay, back in 2003. Okay, and then this high school focus on the academic excellence and environmental issues. Okay, so it's quite interesting if you look at his background, and then it's what I can say that he really into the environmental issue. Okay, and then widely invited speakers by Muslim organizations, interfaith groups, universities, and many other organizations to speak about the environmental issues, to speak about the environmental planning and the issue of environmental sustainability. Okay, so that's about the book and then the author. So if you look at this, I put the aha moment. Okay, so those who have maybe some of you understand what is the aha moment. Okay, this is the moment where basically someone got attracted to something. Okay, it may happen to maybe some of us, or maybe to all of us. Okay, there may be one time, then we start to have something for us, and then we start to in a way explore more and more about that things. And then that's for me, I will start with this, because when I read the book, I find out, okay, because the book actually in one way, Ibrahim share his opinion or his life experience, okay, and relate it or focus it on the environmentalisms. Okay, so when I the first part of the book, he basically write about his childhood, okay, and from what I can, some of the interest to, I just list down over here two, okay, which for me consider as the aha moment for him, okay, where he start to have interest in the issues related to environment. Okay, he says, he writes, I remember seeing my father pray on the mountain. Okay, there was a story where he said that the father bring him and his brother, okay, for hiking, and then when it reached a certain point, and then there is a Zohar prayer time, so the father start to clear up one place for them to pray. Okay, so they asked the father, okay, are we going to pray over here? And then the father said, yes, we are going to pray here. There is no other place for us to pray. Okay, and then the father told him that there is the quote that he put: the earth is a mosque, and you can pray everywhere. Everywhere is sacred. Okay, which I think that is a very interesting quote for me. And then we even know, okay, there is a narrated in the hadith that earth is a place for us to show our obedience, for us to perform sujud, okay, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for me, this quote is very, very interesting. The earth is a mosque, okay, and then you can pray everywhere, and then everywhere is considered sacred. Okay, and then he further writes, from that moment on, I felt a deep sense of responsibility to protect the planet. Allah created this space for us to worship Him, destroying it, not I think someone is doing something. Okay, destroying it not only prevents us from properly worshiping Him, but it is disrespectful for His creation. So for me, this 2 point really becomes like the aha moment for him. And then, but he didn't mention at what age he was during that particular times. So for me, I consider that he's still at the very, very young age, maybe at the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. Okay, so from there on, he start to explore. He start to explore the earth. So basically, he start to develop his interest. And then, in fact, in his writing, he says that upon his graduation back in 1999, he has two objectives. The first one is to further explore the issue of environment. Okay, even though he graduated in the field of political science, okay, said that I want to explore more about environment. And then the next objective that he has during that particular time is to write a book, okay, on environmental issues. Okay, which for me, he has achieved that two targets as of now. Okay, so based on that, what the father says to him, he basically started writing the book with this statement. Okay, the earth is a mosque, and everything in it, it is considered sacred. It is sacred. Okay, this is in fact the first line of the book. Okay, which if we read further on, will give the meaning of green Deen. Okay, so in fact, before that, he explained what is the meaning of green, okay, and then what is the meaning of Deen. Okay, green, as we know, from one aspect, is normally associated to any environmental movements. Okay, like we have Greenpeace and everything, and then green also resembles, okay, the environment, represent environments, and then green also considered as the the Islamic color. Okay, and then the Deen, we know in Arabic, it means the religion. So he tries basically over here to combine, okay, two domain. Okay, one is the environmental domain, and the other one is the religious domain. Okay, and then he further on defined green Deen is the choice to practice the religion of Islam while affirming the relationship between faith and environment. So basically, that is the meaning of green Deen. How we are going to protect the environment, the earth, okay, based on the Islamic principle as a Muslims. Okay, so throughout the book, you're gonna see that he has come out, or he has coined some other terms like the green Muslims, okay, the green mosque, okay, the green market. Okay, so all is basically talk about religion and then that particular domain. So based on that quote as well, I think it drives the author's passionate narrative, and it shows there is a clear connection between faith and environmental issues. Okay, and then as we can expect, that he quoted a lot of Quranic verses and citing prophetic tradition hadith, okay, throughout the book, and the author draws a beautiful picture of Islamic view on humanity, nature, and the balance that Allah created, okay, in this earth. Okay, so he doesn't go out of the boundary of the earth. Okay, but basically talking about how we can protect the earth. Okay, look back into the Quranic verses. Okay, some Quranic verses that specifically talk about the need to protect the environment. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so and I put it over the mother of the environmental problems, and then this is the first verse that he put in his book, okay, which I think, okay, those who have basically read something on Islam and environment, I think this is one of the I would say the most relevant verse, okay, that can be referred to, okay, when Allah says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, ظهر الفساد في الأرض ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون." This is from Surah Rum, verse number 41. Okay, corruption has appeared on the land and sea as a result of what the humans' hand have done, so that Allah may cause them to taste the consequences of some of their deeds, and perhaps they might return to the right path. Okay, so I think most of us are familiar with this verse, and then this is for me a very iconic verse, okay, that talks about environment, okay, and then the human actions. Okay, so human, if you look at this verse, I say that human are part of the problems. Okay, it's clearly stated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever corruptions, disasters, destruction that happen, okay, on earth, land and sea, okay, this is due to aidinas, because of the human's hands. Okay, so for that, humans are part of the problem, hence we must be part of the solution. Okay, if the problem comes from us, then we have to figure out what can be done, what are the solutions, okay, to minimize that destruction. Okay, even though some says that it's quite difficult nowadays, okay, not to destroy the environment, okay, for the sake of the development. So we have to sacrifice one part. But actually, if we read through the book, there are he's trying to put the balance. Okay, yes, we need to go for the human development. Okay, but at the same time, we cannot, in a way, sacrifice, okay, the our environment. Okay, and then for me, if you look at our world today, okay, our society, even this is some of the issue which I think is quite critical. Okay, for example, in our case, we have a lot of environmental issue, particularly in Malaysia. Okay, and then we have a lot of corruptions. Okay, to the earth happens here and there. So we have to do some things. And then in this book, there are a lot of suggestions. There are a lot of proposals, okay, put forward by the author. Okay, what we can do as Muslims. Okay, that is going to be a very, very interesting. Okay, so before I move further, I would like to highlight these 6 principles of Green Deen. Okay, he highlight in the introductions of the book about these 6 principles, and then throughout the book, okay, the way he discussed, okay, the environmental issues, he will basically move around these 6 principles, okay, because the book are basically categorized or structured into 4 parts. Okay, the first one, it talk about the waste. Okay, and then the second part of the book, they talk about the what, okay, or energy. Okay, the third part, they talk about water, and the last one talk about the food. Okay, so when he talk about water, for example, and then he start to look water from these 6 principles, okay, how it connects us to Allah, okay, and then what are the ayat or the signs, okay, that Allah has provided on earth related to water, for example, and then our role as the Khalifa, okay, the stewardship, okay, the vicegerency, okay, the amana, okay, mizan, where actually Allah has created everything on earth in a very perfect balance. Okay, so the moment you touch on one pillars, for example, okay, you take it out from the systems, then the balance will no longer be there, and then the earth, the environment, okay, will be in trouble. And then I think that's what we can see nowadays. Okay, and then the last principle is adl, okay, justice. Okay, and then if we were to destroy the balance that Allah has created, it means we are doing injustice. So we have to maintain the balance. Okay, so these are the 6 principles which I think is viewed as a very important part, okay, by the author. Okay, because he keep repeating, talking about these 6 principles in almost all chapters that he has in this book. Okay, so altogether it is 4 parts, and then altogether there are 16 chapters, okay, available in this book. Okay, let's move on. Okay, and then this, as I mentioned just now, these Islamic perspective of environmentalisms are mainly addressed through these 6 lens, okay, which sometimes I found out is quite repetitive. Okay, because when he talk about the waste, and then he start to relate waste to those 6 principles, when he start to talk about the energy award, he also related to those 6 principles, and then sometimes it's quite repetitive, and then to a certain extent, for me, I found out sometimes I skim past some part of the book because I found out repetitive, and then found out it's quite similar, okay, from one section to another section. Okay, but the point that we can see over here, okay, that this principle showing to the readers that caring for the environment is not an add-on to our faith. Okay, it is something vital, okay, that we have to do. It's something which is very compulsory if we consider ourselves as the vicegerents of Allah, as the Khalifa of Allah, and then this is one of the tasks that we need to do. Okay, so for example, if I can relate, when we talk about the concept of vicegerency, there are the horizontal and then the vertical relationships. Okay, our vertical relationship is our connection with the Creator. Okay, and then our horizontal relationship is our connection with, okay, the surroundings. Okay, and then one of them is the environment. So it becomes like one of our duty, which sometimes we tend to ignore it. Okay, so what Green Deen is all about, okay, for me, it illustrates how the power of religion can be used to involve people of faith in the environmental movement. Okay, and in fact, he clearly states that his main objective at the end of the day is to initiate a movement, okay, the environmental movement, the environmental organization that is anchored by Islam, okay, and then but the movement surely shouldn't be limited to the involvement from the Muslim only. Okay, it should be he also called the non-Muslim of American particularly to get involved in that movement. Okay, the book as well examines how Islamic principles can be applied to waste. Okay, so those are the four things, okay, that become the focus of the book. Okay, waste, water, and food. Okay, these are the four things that any society needs to manage for survival. Okay, so that's why for me I found out it's quite comprehensive. Okay, so when we talk about the waste, for example, the wastage, focus on the issue of overconsumptions. Okay, when we talk about the what, okay, they talk about the energy from hell, the energy from heaven. So I'll talk about that later on. Okay, and then water for him is the most important things that we need to look after, because that we need water for survival as well as the food. Okay, so for me, these four areas really covers the things that we need in order to protect or in order to take care of the Mother Earth. Okay, shares the author's story. Okay, so in this book, basically he shared a lot of his experience, his own experience. Okay, being an environmentalist in the States. Okay, as a Black Muslims. Okay, and then as well as he also shared the story of some other Muslim Americans on how they are inspired by Islam to live an earth-conscious life. Okay, and in fact, throughout the book, he showcased some great efforts of Green Deen, okay, movement. Okay, because he already that established that Green Deen movement, and then he got some some friends from California, if I'm mistaken, okay, who established what they call it the green market. Okay, and then some of them established they call it the green zabiha. Okay, which if we have an experience living in the the non-Muslim countries, we know, okay, it's quite challenges for us Muslim, okay, to get to the halal food. Okay, so he basically trying to develop a network among the Muslims. Okay, so if you need vegetables, for example, hey, there are some groups of Muslim providing the vegetables, and then they brought it into what they call the green market. Okay, so where basically in that market, all halal things are in a way available, basically. Okay, and then if you need to have a meat, okay, so there is someone who anchor what they call the green zabiha. Okay, and then at the end of the book, he talk about the American halal. Okay, it's like our halal Malaysia, for example, I think. Okay, where he started to create a movement. Okay, so they try to establish the power of the consumer power. Okay, so because the number of Muslims in the States are increasing from time to time, so the demands are there. Okay, so and you have to go for it. It becomes like a fardu kifayah. Okay, for some of them, okay, to provide all of these things. Okay, so for me, the book is quite interesting. It's not like a direct discussions about the issue of environment in this case, but they talk about a lot of things. Okay, it's very very comprehensive about the experience, about some proposals, some suggestions that he has, as well as okay the hopes that he has. Okay, particularly for the American Muslims in the States. Okay, so this is how the book is structured. Okay, the first one, like I said, they talk about the waste, where it discusses the broad concept of overconsumption. Okay, live greener lifestyle, be cautious about our wastage. Okay, and then I think this is a very, very relevant. Okay, he talk about the amount of wastage in the States. Okay, as well as for us, for example, if we want to relate it to the context of Malaysia, I think we have thousands of tons every day. Okay, number of wastage, which for him can be reduce in a way. If we really know our role as a Khalifa, we really know what we have to consume, okay, and then what we need to consume, okay, what is the necessity, what is the essential. So all the things are discussed in that chapter. So, and then he introduced the concept of the green Muslim, okay, as well as the green mosque. Okay, the green Muslim in that, okay, as individuals, okay, we need to have this kind of awareness, okay, so to lead our life as a real Muslim, okay, in term, and then focus on the waste over here. The green mosque, for example, they talk about how we can really make use of the mosque. Okay, if you want to bring food to the mosque, for example, and then you have to really bring something that is the necessary only. We don't want like he showed the example, for example, when they have some iftar or any makan-makan session, for example. So they don't want to have a lot of wastage at the end of that session. So they want everything to be neat, okay. And in fact, the way we develop the building, the mosque as well, okay, there must be a proper airflow. Okay, there must be areas for the toilet, okay, where it should be located. Okay, so the use of the materials used for the building as well, okay, particularly in the States. Okay, he very much concerned about, okay, when during the winter, for example, and then material suitable for the winter, and the material that also accommodable to the summer seasons, and so on and so forth. Okay, and the next part he talked about the what. Okay, and then in this section he focused on the energy. Okay, and where he categorized it into two. One is the energy from hell. The other one is the energy from heaven. Okay, energy from hell is basically non-renewable materials. Okay, it's normally something that is extracted from the earth. Okay, so, and then this is again, he relate to the concept of mizan, the balance of the earth. So basically, when you talk about oil, for example, you talk about coal. So the moment we extract it from the earth, then basically we are not going to bring back to the earth. So that means there is some, disturbances has happened to the delicate balance of the earth. And then he said that this is one of the major causes of pollution, which also contribute to the worldwide climate change. Okay, and then another group, he put it the energy from heaven. Okay, is something coming from from the sky. Okay, like the sun, wind, so solar energy, wind. Okay, which can be used to run the turbine and so on and so forth. Okay, so at the end, he basically come out with a proposal that we need to focus more on the energy from heaven. Okay, because by using more the energy from heaven, basically we are not going to touch the balance of the earth. Okay, and then at the same time, that we are doing our role as the Khalifa. Okay, we are basically being just to the world, to the earth, okay, and so on and so forth. So that's how they relate back to the 6 principles of the Green Deen just now. Okay, and the third one talk about the water. Okay, and then started by citing this verse. I think this one from Surah Al-Anbiya, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. Okay, we made from water every living things. Okay, so and then for him, this is the most important element that Allah has entrusted us with. So we have to really take care of it. Okay. And then he talk about the issue of water contaminations. Okay, the issue of toxications of water, and then how we need to manage the water. Okay, the water management, the water restorations. Okay, and then in fact, for me, there is one chapter in this part. Okay, which come with the title "The Wonderful World of Wudu." Okay. And then this for me the most interesting chapter to talk about. Yes, we know as a Muslim, and say that Muslim actually is the group that use water most in our daily life. Okay, at least we take wudu 5 times a day. Okay, to perform our prayer. Okay, so he basically introduced what they call it the wudu number. So I'll be talking about that later on how we can basically or efficiently use the water, not to in a way to create a lot of waste from the water. Okay, and then the last part is the food. Okay, bringing the best possible food to our families. Okay, so something he talked about the concept of halal and tayyibah. Okay, it's not only halal, but okay, it's a tayyibah, something which is good, something which is healthy. Okay, so challenges of getting halal food in the Western country, as I mentioned that just now. Okay, those who have an experience living in a Western country, then you know. Okay, sometimes it's quite difficult. You have to travel quite far away from your house. Okay, just to get the halal food. Okay, and then he introduced the concept of the American halal, as I mentioned earlier on. Okay, the green zabiha, the green market. So all of these are among the green movement that he initiated so far, and it seems to be quite successful. Okay, especially for the Muslim community in New York, because he lives in New York. Okay, and the book actually calls for thinking. It's not merely about just reading and then we get some knowledge for us to absorb. Okay, there are a lot of questions available in this book. Okay, so it is an acknowledgement of how much work there is to be done. Okay, it shows the reader how the earth was meant to be treated, what happened instead, and the aftermath of the mankind's greed. Okay, so for that reason, he keeps questioning, what should we do? Okay, in order to overcome these problems, in order to face the challenge, okay, in order to to minimize the impacts, okay, of our previous action. So an example, for example, you talk about the human over dependency on the energy from hell. Okay, and it started back, I think, from the Industrial Revolution. So when people start to dig for oil, coal, and then it's threats to human, animals, and planet life. So it doesn't stop over there. Okay, he talked about that. Okay, the impacts and everything. So after that comes a lot of questions. Okay, what we need to do. Okay, our role as an individual, our role as a Muslims, our role as the Khalifa of Allah. So what should we do? Okay, so a lot of questions. If you read through the book, you are going to find out some of the questions which sometimes really coming back to us. So, and then there are a lot of example and narrative are American-centered. Okay, that's for sure, because he lives over there. And then the book, in fact, to a certain extent, is like he's sharing his experience. Okay, so most of the example stories, okay, available in the books are American-centered, but they are still relevant to the rest of the world. Okay, when they talk about the need to manage the water, the need for the food that halal and tayyibah, okay, and talk about the the concept of energy, so which I think is relevant to everywhere. But some parts of the book, it needs a certain level of readership, I would say. Okay, certain level of knowledge, because especially when we talk about when they go back to the historical part of the United States, okay, which maybe for me, okay, I'm not that familiar with the history of the state, so I found it's quite difficult for me to really understand when talk about the history of oil industry and then how we start to have partnership with Iran, all those things. So I think because he also has a background in political science, and then he tends to talk from that perspective as well. Okay, on the example given. So this is also some parts that I will in a way jump from one paragraph to another paragraph. Okay, so this is what I said just now. Every part and chapter of the book ends by triggering the readers with some questions for self-reflection, and then I like this one. Okay, so he will end the chapter, okay, by the word "ask yourself." Okay, and then I list down here some of the examples. Okay, where does your trash comes from, and then where it goes. This one, when we talk about when he talk about the waste. Okay, and then how green is your mosque? Okay, will it be energy from heaven or hell? Choose wisely. Okay, what is your wudu number? This is one of the concepts that he introduced. And then how can we lower the consumption of water, okay, for our wudu? Okay, and then what can be done to ensure that the food your family eats meets the highest standard of halal and tayyibah. Okay, so all of these questions for me really, in a way, stimulate our thinking. Okay, stimulate ourselves. Okay, so how many more minutes do I have? I think I still have some few more minutes.
We'll finish at 11, Brother Rushdie. So we have about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, just for Q&A.
All right. So I don't need to rush then. Okay. So he also focused some part of the book. I would say that he's tried to establish the mind of Green Deen among the readers. Okay, so for example, one of the idea that he put forward in the book, he called it the wudu number. Okay, so the concept of the wudu number is to reduce the amount of water consumed from time to time that we consume for wudu. And then I think this really, in a way, put me into a certain level of self-reflection. Okay, because sometimes in our part, for example, in Malaysia, for example, because we have a plenty of water, and then we tend to, in a way, for me, we are wasting our water. Okay, when we are taking wudu. Okay, so and then this is some paragraph of that chapter. Okay, where I shared with you, a person with a green deen is mindful of the amount of water used during wudu or ablution. Although water is an essential and vital part of the Muslim Islamic practice, the Prophet Muhammad SAW taught that trifliness with water. So we cannot waste the water. He warned again wasting water when doing wudu, even if one lives near a river. Today, however, many of us forget this green practice of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, so he has one chapter 11, talk about the wonderful world of wudu, where he introduced the concept of wudu number. Okay, so aiming at reducing the amount of water consumption. And then he gives some proposal that can be done at the individual and in the institutional level. For example, at the individual level, he said that when we are taking wudu, for example, just put one pail, okay, under the place where we took the water. So meaning that when we are taking wudu, okay, the water that we use for the wudu will go into the pail. Okay, so after we finish, done with the wudu, okay, we try to use any measure cups or any water scooping, kind of things, and then try to measure. Okay, if we use glass, for example, how many glass that we use to take the wudu? If 10 glasses, for example, that we use for wudu today, so we try to aim to reduce the number of water that we use. Okay, from time to time, maybe from 10, reduce to 9, reduce to, okay, so as minimum as possible, because you said that it can be done. Okay, and in fact, if we relate it back to the way of how Prophet basically take wudu, for example, and then we know, okay, he can take wudu with just a small amount of water, and then those who go for, I have an experience using, go for Umrah, go for Hajj, for example, I think during that particular time, we can use water a very minimal amount, okay, to take wudu. But when you come back home, okay, so we just turn up our water tap to the maximum possible and then let it flows. Okay, so I don't know. So maybe the green deen kind of a mindset is yet to be here with us. So at the institutional level, for example, he proposed that the mosque, for example, during the Friday prayer, when many people comes, okay, to perform the salat, so he asked the mosque to take the meter reading, okay, before the prayer and after the prayer, so they will be able to know, okay, how many liters has been used, and then try to divide it by the numbers of jama'ah that comes, okay, for the prayer. So they will basically be able to find out how many liters used by each jama'ah. Okay, so and then try to make some campaigns. Okay, that okay, this week we are using 50 liters, for example, of water for wudu. Okay, so next week maybe we can reduce it to 45. So that's one of the ways that he proposed. Okay, which I think if someone in a way managing surah or mosque, maybe we can try at that level, but at least we can try with ourselves first. Okay, so because it's sometimes really trigger me when we look at the hadith of the Prophet, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam again remind the Sahaba that you cannot be using a lot of water, wasting a lot of water while doing the wudu, even though you are taking the wudu in the river, from the river. Okay, basically in the river, for example, you go to the river, you take wudu, basically there will be no waste because the water is flowing. But just to show that we really need to take care, okay, because the water is priceless. Okay, so the moment we lost it, okay, there will be no more clean water, there will be no more fresh water, then I think the human generation will be in trouble. Okay, so another proposal, he asked us to choose the energy from heaven, okay, over the energy from hell. So he asked especially the authority, the government, to begin focusing on harnessing the power of the sun and the wind, and not allowing coal mining companies to ruin entire communities and ecosystem just to get coal that powers our homes. Okay, so I think it's more on the American centered, okay, because over there they need the heating system, particularly during the winters. But again, okay, and I think this is the things happening in our world today. Okay, we go for the clean energy. Okay, we talk about the power, the smart car, for example, using the power of electrics and so on and so forth. But still, okay. And okay, so the last part of it, my grabs of the book. Okay, we say that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam left us in the state of better than he found us. Okay, with all the Islamic teachings and everything. Okay, we become a better Muslim, and that's what we need to do as well to the earth. Okay, we have to leave the earth better than we found it. Okay, so that the future generation can still enjoy, okay, the meaning of living on the earth. So going green is not about buying new things that are eco-friendly. Okay, it is about wisely reusing what you already have. And the third point, being green is being considerate to future generation by inheriting them with a better place to live. Okay, so it relates back to the point number one. Okay, so we have to do our part. If every one of us playing our role as the vicegerents of Allah, as the Khalifa of Allah, and then I think, okay, even though there will be destruction happen to the earth, okay, but it will be at a very minimal level. Okay, but again, some people will say that that's in a way I would say the rule of the world. Okay, that's what will be happening to the world, whether we take care of it or not. Okay, at the end of the day, the world will be going, will be from moving from bad to worse. Okay, and so on and so forth. But again, we have to do our part. Okay, taking care of the earth. Why? Because one day, when we pass away, we are going to be under the earth as well. So we'll be united with the earth. So if the earth where we live on, we don't take care of it, then how we are going to be united with them? So that is some of the discussion that he has on the book, which really in a way trigger me a lot in that part. So while the author proffers interesting and insightful solution to what we should do what we should be doing on a grand scale, I believe that we can do our part. Okay, so even though he talk about the need to establish a certain green movement, okay, talk about the green zabihat, talk about the green mosque, the green, okay, but maybe at least on our part, we can focus on having the green mindset, okay, or become a green Muslim. So because every small deed that we do will be counted, okay, must start from us, okay, we must start from our family, and then from there we make a wave. Okay, try to do as much as possible. At least on our side, we can focus on the controlling the use of the water. Okay, we can talk about the wastage, for example. Okay, try to reduce the number of waste. Okay, and then recycle the issue of recycling. Sometimes we just mix all the waste together. Okay, and then we buy food, for example, just buy the thing that we really need. Okay, for example, for us in Malaysia, for example, during Ramadan, for example, for iftar, okay, so we tend to go to Bazaar Ramadan, and we'll be buying everything that we need. Hey, this is nice, this is good, this is okay, everything. We bring it back at the end of the day. Okay, there will be a lot of waste. Okay, so it motivates me, okay, to always do a good deed on the planet and take better care of the planet. Okay, so as a summary, it is an inspirational and an eye-opening read, at least for me, okay, because the author presents an interesting new perspective on environmentalisms via the lens of Islam. Okay, going back to the 6th principle of the Green Deen, okay, how they relate to the concept of Tawheed, Khalifa, okay, explain how this earth is created in a very, very perfect balance, for example. Okay, but I forgot to mention one thing. Okay, when he talk about that 6th principle, okay, there is one point that I not that much agreeable to the author. Okay, when he explained the concept of Tawheed. Okay, but maybe he tried to explain the concept of Tawheed in the perspective of environment. Okay, he said that the concept of Tawheed is defined as the concept of the unitedness that we have, okay, the unitedness between human and environment. Okay, so we are basically part of the Allah creation, so we are united to the earth. Okay, so that's why when he talk about when we pass away, we will be reunited again with the earth. Okay, so we have to take care. So that is the definitions of Tawheed from his perspective. Okay, which for me I think is not that much the real definitions of Tawheed. Okay, when we look back to other references. So this book would be enjoyed by someone who want to explore how Islam can be compatible, okay, with an environmental friendly lifestyles. Okay, an interesting book that should make us rethink and reevaluate the way that we are conducting our stewardships of the earth. Okay, so the most important thing for me, we have to remember that we are the Khalifa, so there are some roles, some duties that we need to do in this context. So this book calls on all reader, okay, to get informed, get inspired, and start working. Okay, so start working. That is, I think, the focus of the book. Okay, it's not only sharing his experience, sharing his idea, okay, in order to inspire the reader, but the most important thing is the way he come out with all sort of questions, okay, which basically meant to push us to do something, okay, to the best that we can. Okay, that is, I think, the main objective of the book, where the reader should walk away hopeful and motivated to immediately start living a green Deen. Okay, so personally, I would recommend this reading material, the book. Okay, because for me it's quite, it's quite interesting. Okay, and because normally when we review the book, we need to put how many stars for the book. So I put it 3.5. Okay, because I think if they can, if there is no, in terms of the examples and narrative now, because it's taken from the American context, and then that's, for me personally, I find it quite difficult for me to digest. Okay, unless someone has been staying in the States, okay, then no, okay, because he talked about many places that he go from Brooklyn, and then he travel to some other places, which for me I'm not that familiar, so I cannot imagine. Okay, when he talk about the environment of that city, of that town. Okay, so when he go up to Mount for hiking mountain, I forgot what is the name of that mountain. Okay, so it's quite, sometimes it's quite difficult. Okay, so for me, it's to a certain extent like a storybook. Okay, because he's sharing his experience. Okay, but on top of that story, he basically try to trigger. Okay, try to trigger us to play a role as the vicegerents of Allah in taking care of the earth. Okay, so I think that's all from me. Jazakumullahu khaira. Okay, and I would appreciate any comment. Okay, I don't appreciate a question, but I appreciate comments. Okay, I pass it back to you, Dr. Afiza.
Thank you, Brother Muhammad Rosydi. What an interesting and fruitful information. Actually, I'm also a fan of going green, and
that's good.
That going green, it should be an obligation for every people, not just Muslim, to preserve.
Yes. In fact, the author actually called for some sort of interfaith movement. Okay, because for him, it's not only the responsibility of the Muslim, particularly when you talk from the perspective of the United States. Okay, because Muslim is just a minority. So if we the minority who basically do the the job so it won't go anywhere. So he said that it must be a collective kind of words that must come from everyone.
Okay, thank you, Brother Rushdie. But from my observation in our country, the green environmentalist is led by non-Muslim, especially the Chinese people, where they hold many companies doing the recycling process, and they also have this the organization who take care of the environment. Okay, yeah, I believe that everyone should take care of our environment.
Yes.
Okay.
I do agree with that, because sometimes we just like okay, we just let if you look I do agree with you when we have some sort of a green initiative anywhere, and then most of the participants, I think that we can, if we go there, we see that most of them are normally Chinese. Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it's quite sad to say that, but that's the reality.
We should start one, inshallah.
Inshallah. Maybe we can start from our kuliah. We can have some kind of a green KICT, some things like that.
Okay. So I would like to invite comments or questions from the grounds. Any point to raise? Okay. Yes, please.
Salam.
Thank you, Ustaz Rosydi, for sharing the important points about the book. Because nowadays, I think even though we all like to read, but sometimes we at our age, and also sometimes with all the responsibilities, we cannot not that we cannot allocate the time. Sometimes we cannot allocate the space in our mind to actually concentrate on reading. So I think sessions like this is very useful. So even though we may not be able to really spend time to read books, but we can get it from this sharing session. So this is very, very, very good, and I think a series like this should be continued. And if whoever reads books and then try to share, the review of the book, so that whatever important points that you can get from the book can also be shared to others. But I think regarding green perspective or green mindset, this is something that we need to continue to advocate, because this is not we are not the only generation that lives in this earth. There are going to be new generations, and whatever we do now will have impact on them. All right, and of course, Islam has advocate this from the very early times. Even during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, even though the life was difficult then, but every subtle thing like this is given very important, so that we can learn from it. But if in comparison to maybe profiling of how certain more advanced nations are more conscious about green thinking, or maybe even in your country, just moments ago you mentioned that when it comes to green initiatives, sometimes it is a non-Muslim that's taking lead. So I think probably this is a point that where we need to ponder, why our communities or our society is not participating enough in this green initiatives. I think probably this is not a question, just something which come across my mind. I think it probably relates to the level of maturity, because I think our society, I cannot help from thinking about the Maslow motivational model, the theory about the different levels, because green thinking is something of higher order. If you are settled with the feeling of insecurity and economic struggle, maybe you have more focus on thinking about how to preserve, because this is a higher level attainment, is higher level of actualization. So maybe the reason why we are lagging behind is because our community primarily is always being bogged down with issues like political struggle, the feeling of insecurity about our
green
political
politics
situations, the feeling of insecurity about economics. So we spend too much time on this and not able to focus on these higher level attainments. So maybe while we have to advocate, continue advocating this idea, because we have responsibility for our future generations. But maybe the immediate concerns that we have, we probably also need to help our community to get over with as soon as possible. So I think it's very important that our political situation gets more stable. Our economic struggle is lessened. Okay, then we have more time to think about the green things. But whatever it is, as Muslims, whether or not we are facing all these things, we should not ignore the importance of conserving our environments, and also making sure that the amanah that Allah has entrusted us to take care about this world, the earth, we should shoulder upon properly, inshallah. I think that's just my points I would like to share. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay. Yes, Brother Rosydi. Last point. We don't have enough time.
I think I do agree with Prof. Rahman, okay, especially when you relate to the Maslow theory, okay. And then in fact, if we look, for example, in our society, okay, if you go to some posh area, okay, they are in a way, they have all the facilities, okay, the recycling centers are, I think, very reachable from the houses compared to if you go to Keramat area, so or at that particular area, normally, okay, they don't talk much about this kind of recycling kind of things. So that is, we can see two different level of life in the society. But again, maybe as what mentioned by Prof, we as Muslims, okay, we need to realize our responsibility on this task. Maybe by conserving the earth, that could be one of the reasons that the help from Allah will come to us. We don't know. Okay, so maybe all the things that happen to us is because our ignorance in taking care of His trust. So if we start to take care of His trust to us, then could be one of the reasons that all the blessing will be coming back to us.
I agree with you very much, because I think at one time we were at the top, the Islamic civilizations at the top.
Yes.
But maybe we have, gradually left that, and become ignorant and less caring about, the right of others, and also the right of the environments and all other creatures in this world. So maybe, that is why, the wheel is now turning upside down.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Rosydi. I agree with both of you. We must take care of this environment to get the blessing of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala as our responsibility and amanah. Great. Thank you, Brother Muhammad Rosydi. And we are looking forward to have you again in our future seminars.
Again.
Maybe not this seminar, maybe other seminars.
Inshallah. Okay. I think I know what you mean.
Okay. Thank you very much to the organizers, KICT Resource Center, and also the co-organizer, KICT Promotion and Marketing Team, for organizing this seminar. And thank you for everyone for your participation in this webinar. And inshallah, we hope to see you again in the next time. Okay, and let's end our session for today with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-Asr.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Thanks, everyone.
Wait. Dr. Amira, can we have a photo session?
Okay, sure.
Okay, let's everyone turn on the camera. Okay. 1, 2. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.